Greetings and salutations, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Game Break. I am Charles, coming to you today with Without Within, another game by Invert Mouse, who also made Unhack and Unhack Destruction, which was the prequel to Unhack. I thought we would have some fun and try another game. Now, supposedly this one is relatively short, but there is a sequel that is available that we will be following this one up with. I know very little about this. I just thought, hey, this will be a good series to get us through a few more episodes, have some fun, check out how Invert Mouse is doing. So, you know what? Hey, let's dive right in. Vinty, Vinty, Vinty. The chants of my fans echoed through the door in front of me. One of my two bodyguards wrapped his hand around the doorknob. Please prepare yourself, Miss Vinty. Once I open this door, we'll head straight for our limo. The guard had no reason to fret. I had long since grown used to these crowds. Still, I nodded to put him at ease. After taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open. Okay, I'm a woman. A crowd of hundreds raised their cameras as soon as I stepped out. My guards waved their arms to shoo them away. This red carpet was for me to walk on, after all. I blew a kiss for these star-trucking peasants. Miss Vinty, please, let us hurry, my bodyguard said. Too bad for him. I strutted along like a model on a catwalk. A group of reporters managed to worm their way through the crowd. They now tiptoed over my guards in hopes of scoring that exclusive. Vinty, how does it feel to have won another Calligrapher of the Year award? I don't know what voice that was, but let's go with it, a reporter asked me. Before I could answer, another dozen people shouted over each other, hoping for my attention. Vinty, may I get a photo with you? Can you sign some autographs for my kids? The two for me, of course. I'm not shouting. At the moment, unfortunately, I don't have a place that I can do that in, but I can't believe I'm standing this close to Vinty! Who am I that I'm this popular? My fans stamped their dirty shoes all over the red carpet. Finally, my bodyguards pulled out their pepper sprays to keep these fans in check. That escalated quickly. You can't just, your bodyguards are supposed to, just nudge them back. A young male reached in my direction despite having a spray aimed at his face. Rather admirable for a peasant. I extended a hand for this male fan to kiss. Unfortunately for him, he fainted at the sight of my perfectly polished nails. I reached my limousine at last. My bodyguard opened the door for me and I climbed in. My trailing fans snapped as many photos as they could. Miss Vinty! Miss Vinty! That's an awkward chant. The crowd chanted as my car window pulled up. How odd. They never referred to me as Miss. Oh, my graceful presence must have been too much for their sanity. These poor things. Miss Vinty! Miss Vinty! It was all a dream! Oh. Well, I had fun while it lasted. At least I got to ride in a limousine for a good 30 seconds. In real life, my only registered vehicle was, well, my 10-year-old bicycle. My apartment had no space for a car anyway. Actually, this single room with cracked walls might be an insult to the word apartment. Pull up those curtains for a spectacular $1 view, featuring a sewage pipe and a wall tainted with yellow. Just open the window if you wish to smell the sewage as well. A breathtaking experience. By the way, sorry. I needed to take back the one-room thing. This place actually has 2 rooms, thank you very much. The second room just happened to be a toilet. That still counted, right? The toilet clogged 3 times a month, so be careful when using it. Miss Vinty! Miss Vinty! A woman's voice echoed from outside. She was no fan, but rather my landlady. I glanced over at my clock. 6 a.m.? Waiting another hour or two would have been nice. She probably just wanted to tell me about another rent rise. Nothing good ever came out of that woman's mouth. I would be better off staying in bed. Yeah, but you know me, once I'm up, I'm up. I can't really go back to sleep very easily, so let's see what she has to say. Coming! As I changed into something more appropriate, the landlady still kept knocking. I said I was coming, did I not? Maybe I should walk out naked if that was what she dug. If this were a game, we might get a sale boost, too. Good morning, Miss Vinty, the landlady said. I must ask, what's with that hair? It looks like you just woke up. That's because I did. It's a waste for young ladies like you to sleep away your youth. The landlady shook her head. She had no right to preach to me like this. I wanted to tell her, but decided against it, as doing so would give her an excuse to lecture me further. With her size, if I enraged her, she would squash me into Vinty-flavored pancake. Miss Vinty, your rent was due 3 days ago. Oh, well, at least there was no rent increase. Sorry, madam, my next paycheck will come after tonight's shift, so I'll pay you first thing tomorrow morning. The landlady grunted. All right, just know that if this keeps up, you'll have to find somewhere else to live. She spun around to leave. Once she disappeared behind the corridor, I kicked my door shut, causing a piece of my cracked wall to fall off. I tried shoving the piece into place, but my effort resulted in more wall fragments flaking off. Great. The landlady would make me pay for that next month. Once I became an accomplished calligrapher, she would beg for a chance to shine my shoe. I know I sounded a bit ranty before, but that was never my intention. A lot of famous people had humble beginnings. I would follow in their footsteps. But first I should probably get to work. Transition. And so I returned to the busiest street in my area, with my calligraphy spread before me. I sat on the concrete and rested my back against the fence. Car horns blared behind me, mixed with people shouting things about each other's mothers. These cars kept expelling fumes that made me choke. Just one of the many things I dealt with in the name of art. Pedestrians took up almost every inch of space on the street ahead. Surely this would be the day when someone spotted my talent. Maybe. Possibly. Perhaps. As always, no one afforded me anything more than a passing glance, and my will soon dwindled. Let me be honest, I never really expected to be showered with praise by every head who passed here. What was that old saying? 10% of the people you reached out to will buy your work. I could live with that. Even, just 1%. Please. Anything but 0? I wanted to scream at these people. They had no idea how much sweat I poured into these calligraphies. Persevere or rant. You know, I'm all for persevering, but I do love a good rant. Enough was enough. I sprang off the ground and kicked the fence behind me. The crowd stared as I ranted on and on about their ignorance. It felt so good to let loose. If these people knew how to spot real art, my career would have already kicked off. 2 days later, my eruption made its way to the internet. Guys, make sure to never buy anything from her. She's nuts. What does she think she is? Spread the news, everyone. We need to make sure people like that never get anywhere. Oops. My career was doomed. If I knew one mistake would destroy everything, I would have kept my trap shut. How I wish I could relive that day. Oh. That's the bad end. So, how about we redo that? I'm just gonna cut ahead to that choice, and how about we actually, persevere. Cue transition. Just cutting in as we migrate back to that choice that led to the bad end. Let's see what happens if we stay in bed. I snuggled back into my blanket. The landlady could knock all she wanted, but my focus was on my calligraphy dreams. I had no time for these common folk matters. 1 week later. Turned out the landlady was chasing me for my rent. By the time I realized, she had already evicted me. Now I lived on the streets with nothing but my calligraphies. The past few nights had been freezing cold, and I ran out of tissues to wipe my runny nose with. To make things worse, I could feel my head heating up from an upcoming fever. Might I interest you in buying one of my works? I got a 2-for-1 deal today. Also bad end. Alright. Can we get a good end? Cue transition. Alright, so we're back to here. What happens if we persevere? I decided to keep these displeasures to myself. People often said patience would be rewarded. I wondered if my patience would ever become worthwhile. Just as I thought this, a man paused to look at my calligraphies. He had a bucket of fried chicken in his hand. The smell made my mouth water. As the man eyed my work one by one, I felt my cheeks heating up from anticipation. At last, someone who spared more than a moment with my works. This must be my reward. The timing could hardly be more perfect. I summoned the courage to speak with the man, but he spoke first. You charging for these? I managed a tiny nod. The man snorted. I would never hang these on my wall even if you gave them to me for free. Seriously, this is the most shameless display I've ever seen. Trolls online were one thing, but confronting one in real life was a rarity. Judging from the man's scrawny arms, I bet I could overpower him with ease. Then he would know just how big of a blunder he had made. Seeing as how a rant got me in trouble with a bad end, I am going to restrain myself and continue with the perseverance and pacifist route. Folks always said to ignore trolls. I clenched my teeth and stayed put. After chuckling in my face, the man started off. Determined to prove him wrong, I continued to sit and wait for potential customers. Another 1,000 people walked by without sparing me a look. Lingering here any longer would be a waste of time. As I packed my things, I insisted I was leaving because my part-time job started in an hour. Deep inside, I knew the man's words had rocked my confidence. Giving up on calligraphy would mean I had wasted all this time over nothing. Yet, if I lacked the gift, persevering might make things worse. Tears welled in my eyes and I clenched my fists to hold them back. Speaking of tears, I heard a kid crying within the crowd. Looked like we had a lost child on our hands. Some pedestrians shot him glances, but none of them offered more than that. These really were horrible people. To cheer myself up, I told myself I would never want my calligraphies to be owned by people like that. I should help the kid, but that would mean being late for my job. The job will help me pay for rent. But if I have ideals, I should stick to them. I mean, if you lost a kid, or the kid is, and you're a kid, or you're a kid who's lost, help is appreciated. If I judged others for abandoning a child, then did the same myself, I would be a jerk and a hypocrite. With a sigh, I walked up to the boy. There, it's okay. Did you lose Mummy? The boy was sobbing too hard to answer. I leaned in to stroke his back with one hand and his head with the other. Let me know if you lost Mummy, okay? I'll help you find her, so there's no need to be scared. The kid managed a nod at least, and I whispered, "Good boy," into his ear. What's your mummy's name? Hungry. Her name is Hungry? The boy's tummy growled, and I realized what he meant. Oh, well, how about I buy you a sandwich? The kid shook his head. I want ice cream. Hey, kid, ice cream is more of a dessert, actually. I want ice cream. And so ice cream it was. One for him and none for me. The money came out of my pocket, of course. My poor wallet. At least this kid could have eaten the whole thing rather than let half of it melt on his shirt. Jessie, the boy said. That's Mummy's name. Jessie! I called as I strode along the street. Now people stared at me more than ever. Enough to make me blush, in fact. Maybe I should just try shouting Jessie at random the next time I sold my calligraphies. The sky turned orange as time ticked by. Yes, I knew my shift started a half an hour ago. Stop reminding me. A woman squeezed through the crowd and scurried towards us. She ran past a red light, nearly getting hit by a truck in the process. Mummy! The boy shook free of my hold and rushed into his mother's embrace. After muttering apologies to her son, the woman gazed towards me. Oh, thank you so much for your help. You're wonderful. Just wonderful. The torrent of praises curled my lips into a stupid grin. Anyone would have done the same. Please, if there's anything I can do in return, just let me know, the mother said. Actually, there is something I need help with. The mother nodded. Anything in my power, miss. Which way back to the train station? Oh. So, we're going to be late for work. The sky had gone dark by the time I arrived at work. I opened the restaurant door gingerly to avoid making any noise. Stealth mode switched on. They called me Ninja Vinty for a reason. Miss Vinty! The voice of my boss nearly made me jump onto the ceiling fan. Sorry I'm late. I wanted to explain, but my boss glared at me, and my tongue slurred out a bunch of syllables. My explanation was in there somewhere, probably. Maybe. I received an earful from my boss, but at least I got to keep my job. Several colleagues shot me frowns for not being here during such a busy period. In the end, I took all the blame without complaint. Well, at one point I locked myself inside the toilet and screamed into the bowl. I also might or might not have fantasized about dunking my workmates' heads into the toilet. That was for me alone to know, though. At least I earned the paycheck needed to keep my landlady quiet for another month. As for the month after that, we would see when the time came. All I wanted was to pursue my art, but reality kept pressuring me towards finding a second job. On my way home, I spotted a banner for an upcoming visual novel named Princess Aria. The game had long been hyped on every forum I knew. Amazing art along with a cast of famous voice actors. The writer and composer were big names too. For Princess Aria to have an ad this big, there must be a lot of money put behind the project. The way this banner hung high gave me the sense it was extra important. Bright lights shone on the princess's face to impress potential buyers. Yes, that's what I really needed. If I had a banner like that, no doubt people would line up to buy my calligraphy. I could already imagine how folks would react as I walked along the streets. Hey, I think that was Vinty. Wow, no way. You mean that famous calligrapher I see on all the banners? Yeah, she must be really good. Maybe we should ask her for autograph. My agent would then step in to speak on my behalf. Please line up in an orderly fashion, everyone. How much for an autograph? Shut up and take my money! My agent nodded in response. Autographs are available for $100, thank you. That would be $100, thanks, the game shop's owner said. Princess Aria cost twice what I had predicted. If I bought the game, I would have too little left for rent. I opened my wallet, hoping I might have more cash on hand than I realized. Turned out I had less, actually. I hung my head and the storekeeper sighed. His arched brows pressured me into buying a game. I did ride 3 trains to get here. Might as well pick up something. I told the shopkeeper how much money I had, and he shook his head. The store owner pulled out a different game from under his table. He brushed away the dust on it so I could see the cover. The title read Sunflower War. Some visual novel about the battlefield. Copyright 1997, the bottom read. No wonder it was so cheap. Art by Invert Mouse. Whoever the heck that was. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The front cover would fit perfectly in a kindergarten classroom. I flipped the case to see what was highlighted on the back. This game supported up to 640 by 480 resolution. Truly the pinnacle of technology. Shopkeeper grimaced. He must have sensed I wanted to say no. His stare made my palms stained with sweat, and I ended up buying the game. Dealing with folks like that had always been a weakness of mine. Remind me never to visit this store again. Transitions. With heavy strides, I returned to my apartment. 0 calligraphy sales, late for work and with rent, topped off by blowing cash on some game I had no interest in. What I really wanted to play was Princess Aria. Forcing myself to suffer anything else would just upset me further. No, you bought a game, you gotta play it. I did spend money on Sunflower War. Might as well give it a go. The day had left me pretty drained, so this relic of a game would do a good job putting me to sleep. I switched on my laptop and inserted the disc, which I partly hoped would fail to load from old age. Too bad, it worked just fine. No doubt a lot of people were loving Princess Aria right now. Meanwhile, here I was, enjoying this 640 by 480 godsend. No voice acting either. These illustrations look like they were done by a child. I would be better off closing my eyes and imagining my own artworks. The grass reached up to our knees. As I read along, I painted an image of the scene in my head. The plants rustled as we waded through. We paused once every few steps, fearing there might be snakes hiding among the bushes. Somehow, we managed to survive the evening. The sun surged from beyond the horizon, outlining the earth with an orange glow. Slowly, the blue sky emerged and vanquished the darkness that had haunted us. As light bathed the soil, I found myself in a field of sunflowers. I had imagined this place to look far more terrifying, but anxiety had merely been playing tricks on me. I drew a deep breath to savor the morning fragrance. In the distance, birds chirped as if applauding our survival. I could see it. Oh, I could see it. Not only that, but touch, hear, and smell, too. An experience crafted by my imagination. The image rivaled the strokes of any artist, and it belonged to me alone. This fulfillment inspired me to take things further. The blasts of gunfire deafened us as we dove behind the wall. A bullet whizzed past the tip of my helmet. Sam had passed this helmet on to me with her dying breath. I would carry on her legacy. The desert heat pinched sweat out of my every pore. I desperately wanted this to empty this water bottle down my throat. But with no help in sight, I must conserve every drop. Joe's eyes closed, this time never to reopen. Despite our promise to survive together, only I managed to live. How I wished I could take her place. I finished reading Sunflower War right as the clock struck 3 a.m. How so many people had missed this classic left me dumbfounded. Actually, that would be a lie, as I too had every intention of tossing this game aside. I kept demanding excitement without offering an ounce of passion in return. If I played my part, I might be able to discover so much more. As Sunflower War's credits rolled, I realized just how small the development group was. The team probably knew they stood no chance against the bigger studios, yet they still did their best with dated technologies to deliver a vision they believed in. The happiness they felt when working on the project poured out of every line in this game. I could gaze right into their hearts. Heart. The thing I had long neglected. She's so happy. Mommy, Daddy. Vinty, what is it, darling? Look, it's my calligraphy. Honey, it's calligraphy, but that's great. I think you have a lot of talent. This is so much fun. I'm gonna become a calligrapher. I had forgotten the last time I found joy in calligraphy. Every stroke these days felt like a grocery chore. All I obsessed over was how much, or rather, how little people paid attention to my efforts. My work no longer possessed heart, which I failed to notice. Time to do something about that. I could hardly wait to start. After all, I chose this path because I loved it. Aww. Transition time. The next day, I ventured outside with a new set of calligraphies. Though I made no sales thus far, I still found myself beaming. That might explain why some people smiled back. Perhaps it was the weather, but I swore everyone felt warmer today. Mummy, there she is, the ice cream lady. A boy dragged her mother in my direction. It was that kid I helped out yesterday. The mother and I exchanged nods. Honey, that lady has a name. It's rude to call her the ice cream lady. What's her name then? Oh my, well, sorry, what is it? It's Vinty. The mother slapped her boy on the back. See, her name is Miss Vinty. Mummy, can we buy one of those doodles from the ice cream lady? Doodle must be another word for top-of-the-line calligraphy. No other explanation could restrain me from shaking the brain out of this boy. My name was nowhere inside that little brain anyway. The mother checked her wallet, and her face scrunched up the way mine often did. All good, madam. I know how it felt to be living on the edge. The edge of being homeless. Please, the boy nagged on. This showed why I would never have kids. The mother relented at last and bought one of my works. Guess the boy wanted to repay my kindness. I gave his hair a ruffle as thanks. After flashing his missing tooth with a grin, he pulled his mommy back into the crowd. Well, at least I scored better marks than yesterday. Another man strolled towards me. Wow, I was on a roll now. With heart on my side, my fame and fortune had arrived. Clean my shoes, peasants. Hey, it's you again, the man said. Oh, the troll from yesterday. Yay. I calmed my thoughts to avoid causing a scene. Maybe the guy came to apologize. Even a creep like him must know how rude he had been. Yes, my aura had cleansed him of all evil thoughts. Go on, empty your wallet at my greatness. Wow, these new scribbles are even worse than the ones you brought last time. Can I smack him in the head? I want to smack him in the head. Can we smack him in the head? Somehow, I had turned into an internet celebrity. Top comment, damn! Snap! Wow, she went full crazy, lol. Triangle mouth it double at 7 seconds. Illuminati! She'd be like, why you no buy? Ha! More like this might be a good time to look for that second job. Oh. I'm going to guess that was the good ending. Oh. That was a cute little intro to Without Within 2, which is the sequel, which I presume will follow Vinty in her calligraphy ways. I wasn't expecting to hit the bad ending so easily or so quickly, but hey, that was on me. That was quicker than expected. I mean, with all the cuts, it's going to be under 30 minutes, so a comparatively short episode. But we got to meet the main character, Vinty. We got to understand her motivations of being a famous calligrapher. And we got a few nods to the publisher and developer, Invert Mouse. Nicely done. And wanted to pop those up while I ramble at the end, because these people do deserve credit. The illustrations were cute and adorable, a lot of fun to look at, and kudos to Effie Tozen for the music. Really nice, just background stuff. And testing is always appreciated. Make sure that everything works the way it should. I really look forward to playing Without Within 2, which I believe is a little bit longer than this one, so we should get a few episodes out of that and see just where Vinty goes from here. Will she be able to pay her rent? Will she become a famous calligrapher? Will she ever get an apology from that troll that presumably she blew up on and beat the crap out of and smacked? I kind of wish that there was a little option to say smack or not smack, and everyone should just hit smack, because seriously. So, until next time, whatever your heart tells you to do, go do it. Go create something new. Go work on something you've done in the past. Go check out other visual novels and other video games. Go be inspired by other people's works. Go be creative. And I'll see you all next time.